Welcome back to the Lawn Crack YouTube channel. Behind me is my new home. And believe me, there is a home behind this mess of a landscape. And this is going to be the new set of the Lawn Crack YouTube channel. So I am so excited to have a place that needs a ton of lawn and landscape work so I can get back to making my how-to lawn and landscape videos for YouTube. So if you would like to join me, I'm about to take you on a tour of the property so you can get a better idea of the content that is coming, but we are going to be covering everything from lawn maintenance to landscape maintenance to completely ripping out the majority of this landscape, designing a landscape, installing a landscape, and we're even going to touch on things like irrigation, pond maintenance, pressure washing, hardscaping, and everything in between. We're going to be cutting down trees. We're going to do it all. So whether you own a company or are a DIY weekend warrior, I have some content for you, and I hope it saves you some time and money or allows you to grow your business and become more profitable. So without further ado, here we go. I'm gonna walk you around the entire property, but we're gonna start out here by the street, and I'm gonna let you know the content that is coming. So if you are interested, please consider subscribing. It would really mean a lot. And if you like the video, hit that thumbs up. So we have a U-shaped driveway at this property with a bunch of overgrown plants on every entrance. There are overgrown plants. So all of these plants are going to be cut down to the ground, stumps ground out, and more than likely we're just going to put grass in these areas. So we're basically going to take what is a kind of crappy landscape area currently and turn it back into turf. If you look right down here, we have one of many stumps that is going to be ground out, and we will be creating a handful more stumps. A lot of the mature trees are going to stay, but a lot of the other trees are going to go. So little things like this is going to be turned back into turf. I'm not sure what that's doing there, but this area right here is an area of interest. I think this is going to make a big difference once we get the majority of these plants out of here. Eventually I may do some like a boulder retaining wall type thing, and that'll make more sense here in a little bit when we get around to the back and look at the pond. But there is actually a really cool tree in here, and it is the largest tree in the mix. It's right here, and it's going to be hard to tell, but this tree has droopy branches. I'm not sure what kind of tree it is, but it's going to look really good once all of these other trees are cut out from under it. These other trees have been topped, they're not doing well, and even this big guy right here I think is going to have to go because he's just in the way, and there's just a ton of trees on this property, so some of them have to go. I'm not a huge fan of cutting down trees, but something needs to be done here. So before we kind of get to the front of the house, we will wrap our way back around to the front. But an interesting feature that I really think is going to stay is this tree literally in the middle of the driveway, and it is a pretty nice sized maple tree. You know, it's just kind of too unique for me to just come in here and turn that back into blacktop. So as long as the garage is somewhat functional and the driveway is somewhat functional, we are going to leave that. These trees on the side here are going to stay, but plants like these guys are going to go. The majority of the plants, like shrubs, flowers, anything like that, the majority of that stuff is honestly going to go. There's a major issue right now with vines choking out the trees. So it's a little hard to tell in that set of trees right there, but if we come over here and look at this magnolia, it's much more apparent that there are issues with the vines choking out the trees. So before I lose the majority of the trees that are on this property, that's going to be one of the first things, is cutting out all of the vines and getting them healthy and stopping any damage that may have occurred. So we'll do some pruning videos, stuff like this. I'm not going to go crazy and just rip everything out all at once. I'm going to plan everything. I'd love your feedback and suggestions in the comments. I really think this guy right here is going to stay. It has a very nice like branch structure, if you will, down here by the trunk area. So I think once the foliage is lifted up just a little bit, it is going to look really, really cool. It's almost got the little bonsai look going on. So if we wrap around here, we have these brick walls basically surrounding the entire house, and everything on the outside of this wall, as far as the small plants and the crap trees, are gonna go. If we wrap around here, you'll see what I mean. These trees have just been hacked and really look, you know, terrible at this point. So at some point, you know, the tops have been knocked off. So they're just no good. They're gonna go. Basically everything on the outside of this wall is gonna go and just be turned back into grass for the time being, except for the large burgundy leaf tree over there. So these are a couple pear trees right here. Not really familiar with caring for pear trees, but we have 2 pear trees right here, so I will get more familiar. Billy, my buddy from B&B Lawn Mowing, was over the other day and ripped one off and started eating it. I'm not a fan of pears, so I have not done that myself yet. There's the Volvo, looking good, love that car. So if we come around to the patio area, we have a lot of work to do back here. This is, you know, part of the pressure washing is gonna be, first of all, just getting all of the pavers clean. I think that's gonna make a big difference. A lot of the brick and everything else is also gonna get pressure washed in that process, but the pavers is the #1 thing that needs to be pressure washed. Haven't completely made up my mind of what's gonna happen with the landscaping in this area. That's the magnolia we were looking at earlier with the vine issue. So that's obviously gonna stay a very desirable tree and overall looks pretty healthy. So, you know, plants like this are probably gonna go. I do have 2 wood burning fireplaces inside, and I do plan on making a fire pit seating area. So I will need some place to store wood. So I'm gonna have to think about that when incorporating everything into the landscape. And here's where the boulder comment out front came from. So I thought it would be kind of cool to take the boulder theme going on with this pond, which is gonna need a lot of work. It's gonna need to be cleaned out. Gonna have to find out where the pump is and get everything working. It does appear like it's gonna have a waterfall. So I've never seen it working, but that will be probably a project next spring. There's so much work to do here. I'm gonna break everything down into bite-sized bits and videos specific to a certain topic. This is just the introduction, letting you know of all of the how-to lawn and landscape content coming to the Lawn Crack YouTube channel. So with these boulders, so I was thinking about making a little wall out front, but then also grabbing some more of the round boulders and covering up all of the exposed concrete, and pavers stood up on their edges, potentially putting some decorative rock down the bottom of the pond just to make it you know, look nice all the way around. But we come around here, and you know, I'm not sure if this was supposed to be a grill or not, but I am gonna try to modify it slightly to make it a grill because I think that would be very cool. And coming around to this side, we're gonna hang some plants from this big steel structure right there. It's pretty cool. Not exactly sure what it is, but we're still on the outside of this wall, and everything here is gonna come out. This is actually a really big overgrown honeysuckle, so you know, needs a lot of work. If we take a look at the turf real quick before we get too far along, we actually have violets in the grass here. And then we have, you know, patches of weeds like this. I'm not even sure what this is, but there's clover and there's other random typical weeds for the Midwest. And I'm gonna show you how to get rid of all of them from your lawn. Of course, we're gonna be doing some overseeding. We're gonna do some lawn leveling, all this type of stuff. There's see if you can tell, there's a hump right there. It's kind of hard to tell, but I mean, there's a nice divot right there. So there's just areas in the lawn that need to be leveled out. Along this side of the house, I'm not a fan of evergreens, yews, taxus, that type of shrubbery. But considering the amount of work that we're gonna be doing at this house, I'm gonna see what happens after a couple prunings to see if that fills in and you know, looks much better after it's done. But here on the corner of the house, that oddball is probably gonna go. And then on the other corner, we have these burning bushes that are past their prime, and they're gonna go too, because I'm gonna completely, you know, redo the landscape out front here. So I would definitely wanna make sure the corner of the house is included in that major redesign. This tree right here is going to be incorporated into the bed once this is redone. So we're going to be bringing the landscape out. That's why we're going to have a lot more bed space. And I was thinking, you know, maybe a handful of boulders here and there to kind of tie everything in, from the potential wall going in right over here with the boulders. It'd just be a couple feet tall, but I think it'd be a nice look. Would tie back into the pond in the back, and then have a handful just to bring it full circle out front. So every plant here is gone, including in front of the garage over here. Everything is being ripped out and replaced. So I'll go through the whole process of ripping out the plants, picking out new plants, designing the landscape. We're going to be covering costs. We're going to be covering time involved. I'm going to share what you could expect to pay a legitimate company to do the job right versus time and cost of materials if you're a homeowner thinking about taking on a project, any of these projects that we're going to cover yourself. So within the walls, we have much more to do. So nice little private entrance here. You know, I wasn't a huge fan of the walls at first, but they are kind of slick. We have some really cool features, like that is a downspout right there. I've never seen a downspout quite like that, but and it hasn't rained yet, so I have not seen water going through it, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. But this area right here is going to be completely ripped out as well, potentially adding some seating like benches to this area, maybe another water feature, something like that. But eventually we'll incorporate lights to the landscape, we'll incorporate irrigation and all of this type of stuff. So if you are looking to learn more about how to, you know, completely revamp your lawn and landscape, and then once we get to the point where we can just maintain it, we'll go over all of that. But I'm gonna go over equipment you should have, best practices, things you should know. The whole goal is to hopefully save you some time and money as you take on you know, your own landscape projects or lawn and landscape projects for your clients as you're trying to expand your service offering in your business and that type of stuff. So you got a lot of work to do. I need to get my name on the mailbox. So mailman's like, huh, what's going on here? But yeah, man, so we got a lot of stuff coming. I hope you are as excited as I am. But until the next video, you already know, keep making money.